In the headlines, the UWP to appeal court decision striking out all 10 of its election petitions challenging the 2019 election results. Prime Minister scurried concerned over protracted impact of COVID-19 on Dominica's economy. And Heritage Day to be observed in communities around the country due to COVID-19 pandemic. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Showtime, shop at Quartz. We got all the things you want.
It's showtime at Quartz. Shop today and save up to 30% off on selected Whirlpool cooker. Plus, get a chance to win amazing weekly prizes with purchases of $299 and over. So don't delay. Get what you need now and pay absolutely nothing until 2021.
Showtime. We got it. Just what you need. Yeah, Quartz got it.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, the United Workers' Party says it is appealing last week's court ruling, striking out all 10 of its election petitions, seeking to overturn the results of the December 2019 elections. Last Wednesday, the court ruled on the matter, ordering petitioners to pay $5,000 to the respondents.
We have challenged this matter in court. We brought a petition. The other side decided that they are going to ask the court to strike out the petition. And last week we got the news that the petitions, all 10 of them, were struck out. So now we are committed to taking this process further. We have to go now to a higher court to have that in a move to have that decision reversed. Because remember, we went into the court system seeking justice for the wrongs that were done at the elections of 2019. When we get into the system, we start at the first court. And the process allows us, if we don't have what we feel that we deserve from the court in terms of justice, there is an appeal available to us to a higher court. And so we believe that the judgment of Judge Glasgow, was wrong in law, and there is a lot that was very off about it. And we have spent time explaining that. Now we have the responsibility to challenge that decision in the appeal court in the very same way as when the criminal complaint for bribery and cheating in the 2014 elections were brought before the magistrate's court. The government side moved to have the judge dismiss the matter without it being heard. And the judge, in fact, dismissed it. But the matter was appealed to the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, and the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court reinstated the matter, stating that there was a case to answer. So the bribery and cheating matter from 2014, the criminal complaint filed against 15 ministers of government by 3 private citizens, is back on the court's agenda, and the government side has taken it now to the Caribbean Court of Justice. So we have 2 cases right now which are at higher courts than our High Court in Dominica.
The UWP is planning a fundraising drive for Tuesday to meet the legal costs involved.
We need money to fund those efforts to ensure that we take them through successfully to completion. And so, yes, tomorrow morning we'll be asking the people for their support in those regards. I mentioned these two cases, but there are a number of other matters that are on the agenda of the fight for freedom and democracy in Dominica. We have cases where you have all these people, all these patriots of the land, politicians in opposition, who are before the court for all sorts of things, incitement and so on. We have defamation suits that are being filed, left, right, and center, trying to shut people up and to prevent them from speaking truth to power in this democracy. And in that context, I really want to underline the fact that where we're talking defamation cases and so on, which are really about shutting up people and denying them the right to freedom of expression, you have the radio station, Q95, the one that allows the people to express themselves and allows people to exercise their right to dissent and to disagree with the government and the democracy. That radio station is always targeted in defamation lawsuits as well. So not only do those individually targeted with the defamation action have to find money for their defense, Q95 also has to find money to defend itself in court.
In more top stories, Prime Minister Skerrit has expressed concern over the prolonged impact of COVID-19 on Dominica's tourism sector and the wider economy. Pointing to the lockdowns in Europe due to a resurgence of COVID-19 virus and the continuing spread of the disease on the United States, Mr. Skerrit says while some tax revenue is coming in, it is not nearly enough to take care of the associated expenses. He says government has had to spend a lot of money fighting COVID-19 because the people's safety is a priority.
More the presence of the virus prolongs, the more challenging it will become for us in this region. Our source markets for tourism in the Caribbean is United States of America and Europe. And if these two regions are being impacted and continue to be impacted, we will know that we understand that the challenges which we confront will certainly be prolonged. We have to live in hope. We have to be confident that we shall overcome. We have to continue to work together. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. As I said, the more this thing prolonged, the more difficult it will get for all of us in the Caribbean. Last week, I had a number of meetings with the World Bank and the IMF, and speaking about the challenges that we're confronting in the Caribbean, the resources that we need to address this, to help us cushion the impact of this. And on Tuesday, I have another meeting in the World Bank, and on Wednesday, I have a meeting with the IMF, and Friday, meeting with the Monetary Council, and I think Thursday, I have a meeting, a CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. So it's a very packed week, having all of these meetings, discussing COVID-19, discussing the impact of COVID-19, discussing what we believe the international community can do for us in the Caribbean. It is a challenging period. Yes, the hotels are open, but if people don't have jobs in the source markets, they cannot travel. And even if people were to have jobs, people are concerned about their safety. And so it is a challenging thing for the tourism industry and the economy.
Dominica is currently taking steps towards constructing an international airport in the middle of a pandemic.
And as I've said to us, if there's one project we should wrap around our flag, is this international airport. We need it. I believe it is necessary for us to sustain the investments that we've made in tourism, the investments we've made and making in agriculture, and to create more opportunities for young people. If we're saying that we have to create more opportunities for all our children come back from universities with the various degrees and skill sets, we have to expand and grow the economy. And I believe one of the ways to expand and grow the economy is by having this international airport. If we have this international airport, I am satisfied that we will have more tourists coming in to our country because we have a unique product offering tourists. There are not many countries that can talk about waterfalls and hot springs and rivers like the way we're talking about, and the Waitukubuli National Trail and the many other trails and many other attractions that we have in Dominica. Our serenity, our beauty, our safety, and our improvements in healthcare that would provide adequate health services to our visitors and tourists and so forth. We'll certainly see our hotels, our occupancy rates increasing because we'll have direct flights from North America. We'll have direct flights from Europe.
In other developments, the Ministry of Culture is taking a very different approach to the observance of National Heritage Day this year. Prior to COVID-19, Heritage Day was celebrated in selected communities where deserving cultural elders were honored. The Minister for Culture says the COVID-19 pandemic has forced some changes to the Independence event, which began in 1988.
So it's the first time since then that we have not gone into a particular community. And 1989, the Heritage Day was in Pebush, and my mother was the cultural elder then. So that tells you how very long. And this year, we had no choice because of again, COVID, which has affected every aspect of our life. We had to not go into one community, but we are encouraging, or we are asking all communities to observe Heritage Day. This will be done like that you have a mass showing our heritage, which we would hope is mostly in Creole, as the Creole language is one of our very, very important heritage in Dominica that we need to continue to preserve and promote. Usually it would have been on the 3rd Sunday in October, but since there's no Creole Festival, it's now on the 1st. So Heritage Day is celebrated on the 1st in all communities. And we are also encouraging various cultural groups to join with the church community and others to really recognize Heritage Day. So, for instance, in Pebush, we will be recognizing 2 people who have contributed to passing on the various dances, like Robelin Walter will be one of those we'll be observing. And we'll also be collaborating with the church choir for a Creole Mass.
COVID-19 has forced authorities to make a number of adjustments in this year's Independence calendar, but the minister says interest remains high in the activities marking Dominica's 42nd anniversary of independence.
People have begun to wear their Creole wear, their chapeau pie last Friday. The schools have really taken it on board. I have noticed that schools brought in elderly people to talk to the young children about their history and heritage. There have been exposition of craft, of artifacts. In fact, I know all of the artifacts I had at my home, and Kalina Agrocraft left my home to go to the schools. And the schools have really been trying to preserve and educate our children on the heritage. So the schools, the communities, individuals have continued to show very great interest in this year's celebration.
Monday was Flag Day. In other news, a pledge of continued assistance towards one of Dominica's cultural icons. Julian Morris explains.
Felix Henderson, a veteran broadcaster with DBS Radio for over 40 years, has been unwell for the past several weeks and had to be flown to Martinique to receive medical attention. The Creole icon is back on island but had a significant medical bill to pay off. To this end, several fundraising events have been held to collect monies to help defray the costs. On Friday, Mr. Henderson launched his biography titled Because You Are With Me. During this event, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Affairs and Planning, Senator Gregory Revere, who represented Prime Minister Skerrit, said government would continue to support Mr. Henderson during his recovery process.
Let us all play our part. The government will continue to play its part, but we too, the public sector, the private sector, and all civil society must come together to help and assist Mr. Henderson, especially during these challenging times. The government of Dominica is proud to be a part of this effort, both to assist in providing support to Mr. Henderson during this challenging time and also to be part of the launching of his book. I can assure you that we will continue to highlight his contribution or the contribution made by Mr. Henderson.
Mr. Riviere says Mr. Henderson had made a significant contribution to Dominica's culture and this should not go unnoticed.
Now let us go to Mr. Henderson, a cultural icon, radio personality, producer, Creole enthusiast. So many titles we can bestow on this man. But for me, I think Felix Henderson is a blessing to this country. This man has given his entire life protecting, promoting, preserving one of our most sacred aspects of our culture, the Creole language.
One of the charity events was a football event which saw over $9,000 raised for Felix Henderson. Executive Director of Big Edge Financial Express, Billy Doctreve, also engaged in his own fundraising efforts and collected $5,000 from Mr. Henderson. In a pre-recorded statement, Mr. Henderson thanked all those who lent their support during his journey.
I started writing this book on the 21st of January, and God knows why. He knows the future, and why I started writing around that time, before I became very sick. At this point, I would like to say special thanks to Dr. Andre for all the hard work he put into this project so that it can become a reality. This book tells of a story of a young man who basically didn't have a chance in life, but God made the difference. Because it is written, when your mother and your father forsake you, then the Lord will take you up. So whatever your circumstance, don't give up on life and don't give up on God. He can make the difference.
Copies of Mr. Henderson's book, Because You're With Me, were also distributed to various individuals on Friday.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Welcome back. Member of Parliament for the Kainago Territory, Honorable Kose Frederick, says progress is being made on the issue of internet connectivity in his constituency. There is already free community Wi-Fi access and connectivity at all public facilities in the Salibert constituency. The final component which needs to be addressed is connectivity to private homes.
Apart from the challenges that we have, I just want to say for the record that I believe that internet connectivity is a right. It's a human right, especially in these present times. So it is something that companies have to consider. But the fact of the matter remains that telecoms it's a commercial enterprise. It is something that the companies will have to engage. When we look at the topography of the Kainago territory, very scattered, large expanse of lands, we realize that it's a very costly venture. So we have had the intervention by NTRC, and the NTRC's intervention is to ensure that we have Wi-Fi network. Work has been done with all of the public buildings, so the schools, the resource centers, the village councils have all been given Wi-Fi. And however, we will proceed with the NTRC to ensure that the back lines and all of the fiber cables, but it's an expensive venture.
It's about, I think about 853,000.
Yes, it's a big venture. So the NTRC is assisting us on that, and we hope in the coming months we can address that particular situation. And with the assessments done by the private companies, they suggest that maybe only 15% of the population would be able to access or buy into that connectivity. And the
fiber to run over Kalnago is about 15, 16, 17 kilometers long.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. So it will be done with the help of the NTRC, nonetheless, but it will be done in a phased manner. And so we will see that standard connectivity done in the next couple of months.
A reminder to journalists to go above and beyond in reporting facts to the people. The word from experienced journalist Tim Dura when speaking at the book launching of veteran broadcaster Felix Henderson. Dura says more journalists need to put greater effort into thoroughly pursuing a story, similar to how Mr. Henderson did in his documentary journalism.
All of us of the media community in Dominica should take a cue from Felix's work. And I'm not suggesting that we should necessarily take all of the risks that he did, such as physically putting ourselves in harm's way, but we should recognize the need to be more professional, to be more thorough, to be more courageous, to be unafraid to ask the questions that need to be asked of whomever we need to ask, so that we can properly inform our various publics and the country at large.
Dura is hopeful that moves will be made to embolden the media community in Dominica to do more in-depth investigative reporting.
In-depth reporting, that is to get the information, get all sides, ensure that the questions that the public wants answered are asked. And this is something I think that is lacking tremendously in our journalism in this country. And I am not excluding anybody, all of us, yours truly included. And I think we really need to do something about that. And I'm hoping that people like Ken Richards, who is one of our foremost journalists in this country, can come back and try to impart some of that approach into our young journalists.
And the former Speaker of the House of Assembly and a culinary artist is lamenting the loss of traditional Dominican food preparation techniques. Julian Morris tells us more.
Honorable Alex Boyd Knights made the remarks when delivering her address at the 8th Annual E.O. Leblanc Memorial Lecture, which was hosted by the UWI Open Campus Dominica branch. Mrs. Boyd Knights presented on the theme Traditional Cuisine and says several traditional methods of food preparation had been lost over the years, and consumers have a role to play in ensuring they get quality food from suppliers.
So much of the pilau that you get is just rice and coloring. It's not right. We can do better than that. And you know who I blame? The purchasers. If you accept mediocrity, you'll get mediocrity. And of course, you know, like everything else, it will get more mediocre as time goes by and will end up tasting pretty bad. And it will be the purchaser's fault. There are several instances where our traditional methods have been discarded at the cost of taste. One such, of course, I pointed out before, is this proper stewing of meat. As my mother used to put it, a lost art, sacrificed under a pot with sugar burnt in oil.
Mrs. Boyd Knights recommended incorporating more locally grown foods into the diet of Dominicans.
And if I were to give advice to people generally, I would say, please, less of the pasta and more of your local food, please. Years ago, when I had my cooking school in St. Lucia, we had a whole class on breadfruit. I compiled a list of 54 recipes using breadfruit. The base of many of these recipes, which included breadfruit pizza, stuffed breadfruit balls, stuffed with hawasson, so herring, and breadfruit donuts, was a basic breadfruit dough which I had developed.
The Speaker Emeritus did commend the numerous restaurants and food establishments which prepare and sell local traditional foods on a regular basis. The Iole Blanc Memorial Lecture formed part of the Independence Act celebrations under the theme Embracing New Opportunities.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid. But there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. The UWP to appeal court decision striking out all 10 of its election petitions challenging the December 2019 election results. Prime Minister Skerrit concerned over protracted impact of COVID-19 on Dominica's economy. And Heritage Day to be observed in communities around the country due to COVID-19 pandemic. Feel free to access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis. And to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.